Awesome. Okay, thank you so much, Felicia. Thanks everybody for joining us today in our Intro to Silhouette class. I was looking at the chat, seeing where all of you guys are from, and Felicia's right, we have people from all over. So thank you guys so much for joining us today. We're super excited to have you. One thing that I want to know is, do most of you already own a Silhouette? Are you new to Silhouette? Are you thinking about buying a Silhouette? So go ahead and tell us in the comments, kind of like if you have a machine already, if you're thinking about buying one, just so we can kind of know kind of where to take this class. So I'm just going to wait for a little bit. Okay, we have Pam that just got her Cameo 4. This is perfect for you, Pam. All right, we have Chris is new to Silhouette. Great, we're so happy about that. And then Joy is thinking about getting a machine. Awesome. Okay, so it kind of seems like we have a mix, but it seems like almost all of you are fairly new to Silhouette, or you're going to be fairly new once you buy your machine. So this class is very, very basic today. All we're going to do is we're going to go over our different machines that we have that we sell at Michael's. We're going to kind of talk about the different machines and just give you a little overview of each machine. Then we're going to show you how to purchase a design from the design store. And then I'm just going to show you how to cut some vinyl for this little planter that I have right here. And then if we have time, I'm also going to show you how to do a paper cut, because we know that most people use our machines to either cut vinyl or to cut paper. Those are kind of the main uses. There's a lot of other things you can do with them, but that's kind of the main thing. So I guess I didn't actually introduce myself. So my name is McKenna Blanthorne, and I am the marketing coordinator here at Silhouette America. I've worked here for about 2 years, and I've gotten to teach Zoom classes almost that whole time. And honestly, it's one of my favorite parts of my job because I get to connect with Silhouette crafters and meet you guys. And that being said, if you're comfortable, I'd love to have you guys turn on your cameras if you want. So it's like we're in a big actual class setting. If you don't want to turn on your camera, no problem at all. But I do have my gallery view open. So if you do turn it on, I can see you guys, and feel free to ask any of the questions that you have in the chat. Like Felicia said, we have Kelly in the chat, which is one of our Silhouette people, and she is awesome at answering your questions. And then I'll also be trying to look at the chat every once in a while to answer you guys' questions too. Awesome. So let's go ahead and get started. So let's start by talking about our Cameo 4. So this is the Cameo 4 machine. This is our flagship machine. It's our most popular model, and it is a 12-inch cutting machine. So from the one side to the other, it can cut 12 inches in width, but it can also cut up to 10 feet in length if you're cutting matless with vinyl. And that is one of the awesome features of the Cameo 4, is that you can cut any vinyl matless on our machines, which we know is unique to Silhouette. So we don't care what vinyl you're using. We want you to use your favorite vinyl. So you can cut any vinyl on the Silhouette machine up to 10 feet in length and 12 inches in width. You can also adjust these rollers right here to use smaller rolls of vinyl, like 10-inch vinyl or 9-inch vinyl if you have it, just because we know that can be kind of annoying to cut vinyl down sometimes, and a little bit wasteful sometimes too, you feel like. So I want to show you guys some features of the Cameo 4. So this is the roll feeder, and this is what you would use to cut matless. So you just open it up, it pulls out like a drawer, and then you pop up these tabs, and then you just load your vinyl in like this. And I know I have a piece of tape right here, but I'm not actually going to cut anything right now. So you feed your vinyl through there, and then you do want to make sure this roller over here actually is moved in to hold the vinyl, and it will click into place. But then you just line up the vinyl with the little gray thing, the gray arrow that I'll show in a little bit, and then you just press load. So that's kind of how the basics of loading vinyl with the vinyl cutter, with the roll feeder. And you don't have to use the roll feeder. If that's something that intimidates you a little bit, you can always just cut your piece of vinyl and put it on the mat, and that totally works too. So you obviously don't need to use the drawer or anything when you're cutting with your mat, if you're cutting vinyl or paper or anything like that. So let's talk about some of the materials that the Cameo 4 can cut. So like I said, the Cameo 4 is our most popular model, and it's also our most versatile machine when it comes to cutting materials. So you can obviously cut heat transfer vinyl and regular vinyl like this. You can also cut all kinds of cardstocks and papers. And then you can cut with the second carriage right here, you can cut other specialty materials like felt or fabric or craft foam or a lot of other things. So the auto blade is what cuts kind of your standard materials like heat transfer vinyl and paper. And then you can also purchase these secondary tools that go in the second carriage right here. And then you can cut those other materials. And I will say I love the rotary blade tool. It's literally just a tiny little rotary blade, and it goes in the second carriage right here, and it is the best for cutting felt. It's probably my favorite thing to do with the Cameo 4. So that's kind of some different things that you can make with the Cameo 4, but honestly, the limit is your own creativity. There's so many things you can do. Something I've been learning how to do and incorporating more lately is doing multiple materials in one project, like maybe fabric and heat transfer or paper and vinyl or things like that. So really the limit is your creativity. But that is the Cameo 4. It also has a little compartment right here to store an extra blade. It's kind of like a little secret. And then it also has a cross cutter on the back. I'll turn it around so you guys can see that. So when you cut vinyl, and I can show you guys this when we cut vinyl a little bit later on, you just lower these tabs and then you can just slide this cutter right across, and then it cuts your vinyl right there for you. So you don't have a secondary need for scissors or a cutter, like a paper cutter or anything like that when you're working with the Cameo 4. Kind of a fun feature. When you purchase the Cameo 4, it comes with the machine, obviously. Then it comes with one auto blade, and then it also comes with a mat, a 12 by 12 mat, and then all of your power cords and USB cords that you might need. This machine is Bluetooth compatible. I'm not going to be using the Bluetooth today, just because here in our office, we have like 30 machines that it tries to connect to when I turn on the Bluetooth. So I'm not going to be using the Bluetooth today. I'm just going to be using the USB cord that you see right here. So if your computer doesn't have Bluetooth or anything like that, that's totally fine. You can totally use the USB. Awesome. So let's go ahead and look at our next machine. So this is the Portrait 3. So the Portrait 3 was released in September of 2021, so last year, or sorry, 2020, 2 years ago. And it is our smaller machine. So if you're a crafter that doesn't have a ton of space, the Portrait 3 is an awesome machine for you. It has a lot of the same capabilities as the Cameo 4, but it doesn't cut as many materials just straight like the Cameo 4 does, because it doesn't have the second carriage. So you can cut fabric and felt and a lot of other materials on it, but you'll need to use like a special backing on those materials or things like that. And you can read all about those tips on the internet of how you can do that. But if you're just using this to cut vinyl, heat transfer, or paper, it's a really, really awesome product. I find myself using this machine a lot when I'm working on stuff here in the office, just because it's very, very small to take to my little desk and to work on. And also it's just really, really fast. It's really good with print and cut, which is why a lot of our customers purchase this machine, is they have print and cut small businesses where they make stickers, or people will use it to organize their pantry or their closet, and or like a spice drawer, and it just doesn't take up a lot of room. So it's a super awesome machine. You can also cut matless vinyl. And then here at Silhouette, we actually sell 9-inch vinyl specifically for this machine. Like I said, you can use smaller rolls of vinyl in your Cameo 4, but this is our smaller machine, so we also produce smaller vinyl, so you don't have to cut down your vinyl. And that is the Portrait 3. So if you have any questions about any of these machines, it looks like we've had some questions, but I'll go ahead and look at those after I show you guys the next machine. And I'm going to have to move this over because it is a big machine. So this is the Cameo Pro. Oh, got caught on my button. So the Cameo Pro is 24 inches in width, and it is the largest cutting machine on the market. So it's the only 24-inch cutting machine currently available in the crafting world for DIY crafters. And it's pretty much exactly the same as the Cameo 4, just the size is different. And as you guys can see, it's really big. I keep knocking everything over. But like I said, it is pretty much the same when it comes to cutting capabilities. It has the first carriage for all your normal materials, and then it also has the second carriage that you can use all those secondary accessories in. The only difference is you can cut bigger in width. You can also cut the 10 feet in length on this machine. And we have purchased like the huge 24-inch rolls of vinyl from Amazon or other places, just secondary places. I'm not sure if Michael's has 24-inch vinyl, but we have been able to find it. So if you are maybe making card decals or welcome signs or anything like that, this is an awesome machine for you. A lot of small businesses also use this machine to produce a lot of content at once. So this is the Cameo Pro. So this model is $499.99. And then the Cameo 4, sometimes it's on sale at Michael's, and I believe it is $299.99 currently, unless it's on sale. And then the Cameo 4, or sorry, the Portrait 3, I believe is $199.99. So you can go ahead and look those up on Michael's websites. They're all currently in stock and able to ship to you if you order online at Michael's. And a lot of your stores will actually carry all of the machines as well. Not all the stores have the Cameo Pro in stock right now. So if they don't, you can feel free to order it online. Okay. Awesome. So I'm just going to go ahead and look at the chat real quick. Awesome. So Kelly just put the link to the machines. I just want to double check the prices real quick to make sure I gave them to you guys right. All right. So yes, the Cameo 4 is $299.99. The Cameo Pro is $499.99. And then the Silhouette Portrait is on sale right now, it looks like. So it's $179.99. So if you're thinking about getting the Portrait, go ahead and get it before it's gone or before the sale is over. Awesome. So I'm going to go ahead and open my Silhouette Studio now. And I just want to show you guys kind of the basis of it. I know that the Silhouette Studio, which is our software, can be a little bit intimidating, especially for new users. And today I just want to show you guys that I promise anybody can use it. It can be simple. It can also be complex, and it can be kind of confusing. But I promise that if you do what I show you today and you're going to use your Silhouette machine in this way, you won't feel intimidated by it. So pretty much today in the Silhouette software, I'm just going to teach you how to buy a design, how to open that design in the Silhouette software, how to resize that design to be the size that you want it to be, and then how to cut that design. So it's pretty simple, but that is, if you're new to Silhouette crafting, that's a good place to start out. Eventually, you will have the chance to actually create your own designs and to use all of our tools in Silhouette Studio. But if you're new, I don't want to overwhelm you today. We're just going to keep it simple and just kind of teach you guys the basics. Like this class is called, it's called How to Make Your First Cut with Silhouette. And that's what we're doing today. Awesome. So I'm going to go ahead and start my screen share. Okay. And then when you download the Silhouette software is free, and you'll download it on your computer, and it will show up down here in your toolbar or in your applications, wherever those might be. And when you open it up, this is what it's going to look like. So I'm just going to go ahead and discard that. And then it defaults to the last settings that you used when you opened it. So obviously I was cutting 8.5 by 11 paper on the Cameo mat. So what I always do when I open Silhouette Studio is I just come up here to this page and I just click page setup. And this is where you're just going to set up your page. And let me go ahead and open the chat too, just so I can see you guys' questions. Okay. Awesome. So today we are using the Cameo 4 model. So I come up here to my machine and I just click Cameo 4. And then I'm also going to be using the 12 by 12 cutting mat. Yeah, we're not going to cut, actually let's cut matless today, just so I can show you guys the cross cutter. So I'm going to select no mat, and then I just need to select the size of my material. And you actually, even though our vinyl is 12 inches, I always have to put like 11.9 to get it to read correctly. And that might just be that I need to restart, like re-update or something like that. I'm not sure, but it always tells me that the material, the width has to be a little bit less than the max cutting, even though it could go all the way to the edge. So we're going to go ahead and get started with this. So this is what it looks like. This is as easy as setting it up is you just kind of go down the list. And if you're using a piece of paper, you can change the width to 8.5 by 11. Or there's also for the media size, I selected custom, but there's a lot of default media sizes. If you're using 12 by 12 paper or regular size paper, all of these are there. So that's just the page setup. And this is the first thing that I do every single time I open Silhouette Studio. And now I want to show you guys the Silhouette Design Store because I think that it's a super awesome place that you can just get a lot of creativity and pretty much find anything you're looking for. So to access the Silhouette Design Store, I just come up here to the blue tab up here, the second blue tab, and I just click on the store. Okay, and this is the opening page for the store right now. So we always have sales going. Right now, just today, we started our spring and Easter sale. I love this Easter card. I think it's so cute. And you can find our files through a design ID number, which we always tag in our Instagram posts, and I'll share the design IDs with you guys of what we're doing today if you want to go buy those. But so you can always find the products by the design ID number, or you can also just search them or just browse the design store. We have over 200,000 designs in the design store. So I promise you there is something you're looking for. Some of those designs are regular cut files, some of them are print and cut files, some of them are fonts, some of them are 3D. So there's just a whole lot of things that you can find in the design store. We also always have, like I said, sales going on. And then we also have a free design every single week. So this is the free design this week for Easter, and they switch out every Tuesday. So go ahead and just check this out in your free time. If I'm ever needing like inspiration for a project, I love just coming to the design store and looking at what's new or looking at the trending designs, and I always find something to make. This little banner is super cute, little bunnies and chicks and sheep it looks like. So today I want to show you guys how easy it is to locate anything that you're wanting to find in the design store. I'm going to go ahead and stop my screen share real quick just to show you what we're going to be doing today. So I'm going to go ahead and just make a little vinyl decal for this little pot right here. It's just a little faux cactus pot. So it's pretty small. So I don't want anything too detailed because I want you guys to be able to see how easy it is to just make something out of vinyl and just stick it on here. So I kind of want somebody to give me an idea in the chat of what you guys would like me to put on this little pot. So maybe it would be a flower or a leaf or like a hello spring saying maybe, or just something like that. So whoever can give me an idea. Okay, somebody said, let's see, a sunflower or a sun. So now I'm going to have you guys vote. So do you guys want to see a sunflower or a sun? Go ahead and tell me in the comments. Thank you for the suggestions, Ty, and let's see. Oh, it doesn't have a name on that one. Okay, I think sunflower won. So we're going to go ahead and look for a sunflower, which I think we shouldn't have an issue finding. That seems like, well, there's one right there. But we'll just see what our other options are. So literally it's as easy as just typing in sunflower to our search bar. And so many pop up. We don't have like a ton of time today. So I'm going to do one that's a little bit simpler, just because I don't want to be weeding forever with you guys on the camera. So let's do this one. That one's kind of cute. So when you come to the page, you're going to go ahead and click this shopping cart, and then you'll click the arrow to take you to your shopping cart. And this is the design ID that I was talking about. This design ID for this one is 183745 for the sunflower we're going to be using today in class. So you can always, if you see something on Instagram that we post or Facebook that you really like, and you see that the design ID is there, it's very, very simple to go and find that. And a lot of our designers, if you follow them and you see something that they post, and they will always know the design ID, or they can always locate that for you, like Lori Whitlock or Karina Gardner or Nick Squirrel. I'm sure if you like sent them a DM, they would be more than happy to give you the design ID for that design. So that's how you add a file to your cart, and then you just press the blue arrow to take you to your cart. And then we're just going to go ahead. Oh, and I actually need to sign in to my account. Perfect. I think the issue was I had to change my password this morning. There we go. Okay, so we're just going to go ahead and check out. So I just clicked the checkout button, and then it will have you put your password in just to confirm your purchase. Perfect. So that's all you have to do in the design store. So we can go ahead and exit out of that now and come back into our software. And I did lose my chat, so let me just see if I can find that again. Okay, there we go. Okay, perfect. So I'm just going to next come up to the library. So you open your software, you're in the design tab. Then you go to the store to purchase your design. Now you're going to go to the library to find that design. So I come to the library, and all I need to do is come down here and press sync. I actually think I might have to re-log in. So it thinks that I'm working offline right now, but I'm not. So I just came down here and I selected working offline, and then I deselected it. And sometimes that happens. I guess that's just a little bit of a troubleshooting tip. If it says you're working offline, but you are connected to the internet, just go ahead and do that. Let me repeat that one more time. So I just came up here to where it says my name, and then I just clicked this work offline button, and then I clicked it again to deselect it. And that fixed the problem. So then you're going to come down here and press sync. Perfect. And then I'm just going to come up here to my search bar. You don't have to use the search bar in your library, but I have over 1,500 designs. So it kind of takes a while for me to scroll through them. So I'm just going to go ahead and type sunflower in my search bar again. And it actually says the download failed. So I'm just going to try to re-download it. And I haven't ever had this happen before. But we might have to use a different file today. And I assume it's just something with my internet connection that I'm having the issue with it. So we'll just use a flower that I already have in my library. Let's do just looking through all of our options. Okay, let's do this one. This one's a very simple, easy flower. Okay, so it just opened in our software. And as you can see, at default, it opened really, really large. It's just depending on the designer, how they upload it, at what size it will open up at. Sometimes if you're making a card, like a 5x7 card, everything will already be the right size. But this is a vinyl decal, so obviously the designer uploaded it a little bit large. Let me go ahead and give you the design ID for this one, just in case you guys want to find it. It is 344573. So anytime you need to find a design ID in your library, you just hover over that design and then just click this little box and it'll show you. Awesome. So I'm going to stop my screen share right now so I can show you guys how I figure out how big to make my design. So I have a little ruler right here. And if you didn't have a ruler, you can actually use your mat and the grid on your mat. Each square is 1 inch. So I just kind of like pick the side that I'm going to do it on. I think I'm going to do it right here. And then I like to just kind of lay my little mat right on top of it. And obviously it doesn't lay flat, but you can kind of get a good idea of how big you want the design to be. So it looks like 2 by 2 would be a little bit big for this pot. So I'm going to do it 1.5 by 1.5. And also, usually I don't have a ruler, so that's why I always share that tip. But if you do have a ruler, you can obviously just kind of measure it. But I really like using the mat because that's just one less tool that you have to have in your craft room, or just one less thing you have to worry about. So we're going to go ahead and resize this. So let me start my screen share again. And resizing is seriously so simple. There's a few different ways you can do it. So the first way is you can just drag on the corners and you can just make it smaller. And this is very similar to what you would find in like Microsoft Word or something like that, just a very simple program like that. And you can just drag until you're right around 1.5. You probably won't get it exactly 1.5, but it's very, very close. The other way that you can do it, I'm just going to make this big again, is you can use up here on the toolbar, just make sure that your design is locked. And then you can just type in 1.5 on the width. And it actually looks like the height is a little bit taller. So I'm going to make the height 1.5 because that's the max size that I want this design to be. So the next thing that I need to do is just position it in the corner. And I want to know, does anybody have any questions about resizing or anything I've done in Silhouette Studio up to this point? Awesome. So I see Ty asked about the basic edition versus the upgraded versions. So you guys will notice that I have a whole bunch of tools on this side and a whole bunch of tools on this side. And that is because I am using the business version, which is the most upgraded version. Like I said, the free software is awesome and it's really, really easy to do everything that I'm showing you guys today. But if you are going to be designing your own files, upgrading and doing the one-time payment is a great option. And it is just a one-time payment of, I believe, I want to say $39.99. All the versions vary a little bit based on the amount of tools that they have, but you just pay that one time and then you get all of your tools forever. So, but like I said, everything I'm showing you guys today, and a lot of our crafters don't need anything beyond the basic version for what they're doing. So Karen asked, how did you move it to the corner? So I had it about over here, and all I did was click on it with my mouse and just drag it over into the corner. Perfect. Awesome. So I don't think we have any other questions up to this point. And yes, somebody asked about the difference of Mac and PC, and they are almost identical. I'm pretty sure Kelly uses a PC computer, I think, when she teaches her classes. And I've watched all of her classes too. I sit in and moderate them. Yes, Kelly does use a PC. And I've honestly noticed almost no difference between the classes I teach and the classes Kelly teaches and the process. So pretty much the same. Okay. All right, so let's go ahead and move on. So I'm going to go ahead and stop my screen share just so we can get the machine ready now. So I'm just going to cover my mat since I'm not using it right now. The mat comes with this kind of waxy cover, and you should always keep your mat covered when you're not using it to keep it from getting kind of fibrous and some hair and just dirt. That will make it not sticky anymore. So always keep your mat covered. And then I want to know, so do you guys want to see the flower in purple or black? So those are the two colors that I grabbed. So let me know which one you guys want to see. All right, we already have 2 votes for purple, so we're going to do that. Somebody asked, where can you learn more about the Portrait 3? So we have a whole bunch of these classes with Michaels. Like I said, I've almost been doing them the entire time I've worked here, and they are all on Michael's YouTube channel. So you can go ahead and find them there. We also have a ton of tutorials on our own website about the Portrait 3 and all of the machines. For the most part, everything I'm showing you today, besides the roll feeder, is the exact same process as the Portrait 3. The only difference is you would just kind of lay your vinyl right here and just load it into the Portrait 3. So that's the only difference, but there are a lot of other classes on YouTube that I've taught. I think Kelly has taught some portrait classes, and just some of our other instructors that we've had in the past too. So you can definitely find a lot of good classes on YouTube that will teach you. Okay, so I just pulled out my drawer and I'm just going to open up the tabs like I showed you guys earlier. And I did take off that little piece of blue tape. And then you're just going to feed it through this little slot right there, which can be a little bit tricky sometimes. So just be a little patient. And then you're going to line up your vinyl with these gray arrows right here. I know it's probably a little hard to see. I feel like the roll feeder is right in the way, but yes, these little gray arrows right here. So you're just going to line it up there and then just press the load button, which is the upward arrow. And we're completely ready to go now. I just want to make sure that I put my cross cutter up, because if you didn't, it will get jammed. It won't be able to go through. But that is everything you need to do to load your machine. So I'm going to start the screen share again to show you how we send this to the machine. So we've done our design, we've been to the store, we've gone to the library. Now we're going to go to the send panel. So when you open the send panel, this is what it looks like. And often, if you've already connected your machine, it will already show up as connected down here. Mine is not showing up as connected because I hadn't yet pressed the button or connected the cord. So I just plugged it in. And then I'm just going to click down here, which is where you should click if it's not showing up. And then I'm just going to search for the machine that's available, which is right here, this Cameo 4 HQ White. And then I'm just going to hover over it and click it. And I think it's just because my laptop is old, but I always have to hover above the machine that's available, and then it will kind of highlight the one underneath it. So it's kind of weird, but I've never seen anybody else have that problem, but I just wanted to point that out in case people were confused. So that is how you connect your machine. And then since we're using the auto blade, we just click right here and just select the material we're using. So I'm just going to type in vinyl, and this is glossy vinyl. And you know what type of vinyl you're using. When you purchase the vinyl, it will say on the outside if it's glossy, if it's matte, and you can usually tell by looking at it too. This is just personal preference, but I like to cut all my vinyl on a 2. I just find it works better for me personally. And this is the blade depth. So usually I don't change this at all when I cut a lot of materials, because it is auto chosen, but I'm not using a brand new blade. If you're using a brand new blade, feel free to stick with all the standard settings. But I am not, so I'm just going to bump it up to a 2 just to make sure that it cuts through correctly. But I am not going to change my force or my speed. I'm going to leave those exactly the same. So then you just come down here and you press send. And I'll stop the screen share so you guys can watch it. All right, Ariana asked if there are any Cameo 4 Pro classes, and I know Kelly has taught 2, possibly more Cameo Pro classes. So I assume she's going to grab those links for you. But yeah, Kelly has taught some really, really awesome Cameo Pro classes. Awesome. So it just finished. You guys can't see it from where the camera is, but it did cut, and I can see that it cut just up here in this corner. It's just fairly small. One thing that I always do before I unload anything is I always check to make sure that it cut. I just try to pull away a piece and it's pulling away perfectly. So I know that it cut perfectly. But the reason I do that is just to make sure that I don't have to send it for another pass, because if I didn't unload it and it didn't cut through, I could send it for another pass. And because I haven't moved it or anything, it would cut in the exact same place right on top of the design. So I always make sure that it cut through. I'm just going to turn this now to show you guys the cross cutter. Oh, so let me turn this back for a quick sec. To feed your vinyl through the cross cutter, you use the downward arrow button. So you just hold that down and it feeds it through. And then obviously this is not going to be a big cut. I just need to move it down a tiny bit more. Awesome. So I can see the design there. I know you can't see it because it's glossy, but then you just put these little tabs down and just slide the cross cutter across, and then make sure you put these little tabs back up every time. Oh, there we go. Okay. And then we can just go ahead and just unload, just press it once and it'll spit everything back out. And then you can just roll your vinyl back up. We're not going to be cutting anything else matless. So we're going to go ahead and just stow the drawer and just going to put this there. And then obviously our little flower design is only right here. So this would be a good project for a scrap of vinyl, honestly. I wanted to show you guys how you can cut matless. But if you just had a little tiny scrap of vinyl, you would just put it in the corner of your mat as if you would with paper or anything. And then you just go ahead and feed it through on the mat like normal. So I'm going to show you guys how to weed this now, which is, I think, really fun. Not everybody really likes weeding, but I think it's really enjoyable. So I just start at the corner and I just pull really, really slowly. I think with weeding, the slower that you go, the easier it is. So then I just use this silhouette hook tool to take out my remaining pieces. Okay, and I'm going to go ahead and look at the questions. Somebody asked, you only need to flip the design when you're doing a font. So you actually only need to flip or mirror the design when you're doing a heat transfer design that's going to cut backwards because you're going to flip it over ultimately. So I think that's your question, but yes. So Kelly just answered that. You only need to flip, like adhesive vinyl, you would never flip a design. It would just be heat transfer. Okay. And then Belaine asked, if the vinyl doesn't cut on a 2, what do you suggest? You can always just send it for another pass, or you can just bump up your blade depth to maybe a 3. But I've always been able to cut it on a 2 unless my blade is really, really old. Then that probably means it's time for a new blade. But I've worked here for 2 years, and I think in my home machine, which I've used almost every work day, I've only gone through 2 or 3 blades at the most. And I cut a lot of paper. Paper dulls your blade really, really easily. So now we're going to go ahead and use the transfer tape. I'm using the Silhouette Auratape collaboration transfer tape with Oracal. This is my favorite transfer tape. It works literally every time for me. Not all transfer tapes are created equally, I've learned, and this is a really, really good one. So we're just going to go ahead and cut a little scrap of transfer tape. I'm just going to cut it right here, just because that makes it even. And if you can see, I know it's really, really faint, but the transfer tape is actually cut or marked at every 1/2 inch. So the Silhouette vinyl has an inch visible backing on the back. And then the transfer tape, this one has a 1/2 inch. So if you know how big your design is, which we do, you can easily cut a piece of transfer tape that's like exactly the right size. You do want to make it a little bit bigger. I would say like if our design is 1.5 inches, I would make the transfer tape piece 2 inches, just so you have a little bit extra on each side. And then we're just going to peel the backing from the transfer tape. So just very slowly. And then I'm just going to stick the transfer tape directly on top of my design. And then I'm going to take the Silhouette scraper tool. But if you don't have this, you can easily use like a credit card or any just regular craft scraper, anything that just has a good little edge on it. We're just gonna roll over the top of it a few times, just get all of our bubbles out and get it really, really stuck to this piece. Awesome. And then I like to flip it over and I like to pull the backing away from the tape. I just found that that makes it come off easier. And as you can see, I love to look at it like on the transfer tape, just as like a little clear holder for it. And then I'm just going to take the design, and this is not totally flat. So when something is not totally flat, kind of like put your design up, like curve it a little bit so the middle sticks down first, and then just slowly go out to the sides. And we are just going to push it down a little bit. Yeah, like I said, this little vase isn't totally flat. So I would say if you're starting out, always use something that's completely flat. And it's not that it's not perfect, because you'll see when I pull the tape off that it is completely stuck down. But it's just really, really easy to start out the other way. And then after pushing it down and getting all your air bubbles out, you're just going to slowly peel the transfer tape away. And the transfer tape is reusable. So I just go ahead and stick my little piece of tape on the backing. And then I'll just put it in like a little scrap bin or something. So this is our design. It turned out so cute. I really, really love putting decals on little blank things like this, like decor pieces that I can buy at the store. If you look at the background, that's almost everything that we have in the background. I guess, well, we switched some things. So I guess we just have this pot right here that I did in one of the classes a couple weeks ago. But it's a really, really easy way to introduce yourself to vinyl. And it's just a really, really fun project too, that you can literally put whatever you want on it. So we can go ahead. I guess I kind of want to ask you guys, I do have some paper here, so I can show you guys a paper cut. There's about 15 minutes left in class. So we can either do that, or we can just answer questions that you guys may have. So maybe in the chat, tell me what you guys would prefer. Okay, so it seems like everybody wants to see a paper cut, which is great. So I'm going to go ahead and start my screen share. And for this paper cut, we are just going to make a little box, which is kind of fun because it's actually a 3D craft. So I made this box yesterday, and it was super, super fun and super cute, this one. And it's really, really simple too. So I'm just going to click on the design ID to show you guys. So the design ID is 22180. And then to open the design, I don't know if I mentioned this when I did the flower, but you just double click it. So click it 2 times and it opens up. Obviously, so I'm not going to cut matless. There is a thing called a pop-out cut that you can learn how to do, but that's not something we're going to cover in today's basic class. So I'm going to select that I'm using a Cameo matte. And then this is 11.9, so I really don't have to change it, but I am using 12 by 12 paper. So I'm just going to move this over a little bit. And anytime I'm making something like a box, I just always like to max out the size. So I'm just going to drag on that corner, just like I showed you guys with the last design. And this is all you have to do to set up this, this box. So I'm just going to go to the send panel now and show you what you do differently now. So I actually unplugged the machine when I was using the cross cutter because the cord didn't reach. But I plugged it back in. Now it says it's ready to load. But before I load the paper onto the mat, I just want to show you guys that I'm using cardstock. So I'm just typing cardstock. And I always, every time I'm using cardstock, I always use this one, the cardstock textured heavy. And then, like I said, just because my blade I know is a little bit older, I'm going to cut it on a 5. And these are just things that I've learned over time as I've worked here. You'll get so fast at knowing exactly what settings work for you and exactly how you like your things cut so that you can work quickly and efficiently and you don't run into any problems. So that's just my personal preference. But I almost never change the force or the speed. Those are the other 2 settings that you can change if you want to, but I really never even touch those. So this is kind of a fun piece of paper, and we'll see. We are probably going to need to do a test cut on this. I don't know if you guys can tell, but it kind of is like a wood textured paper, which you probably can't tell because the camera, but it's kind of fun. So what I'm doing is I'm just going to line this up, and obviously my mat is 12 by 12 and my page is 12 by 12. So it's pretty much going to take up the whole thing. And I did not put it on totally straight. So I'm going to do one more time, just because I know my box is going to go from side to side. Awesome. Okay, and then I'm going to go and line the edge of the mat up this time with the gray. Perfect. And then this time we're going to perform a test cut. So I'm going to start the software again to show you how to do that. I saw somebody ask the settings that I'm using for this paper. So I'm using a blade depth of 5, a force of 30, and a speed of 4, which are almost the default settings. I just changed the blade depth. I bumped it up by 2. So a test cut you can use with any material, and it's just this button right here. And what it does is it adds a little square and triangle up here in the corner, just to see if you have the right settings. And this is a really great way to not waste any materials, whether you're using vinyl or paper. It's a lot better to know if something's not cutting right here than if you cut the whole thing and then you unload it and you can't use this piece of paper anymore. So I'm just going to go ahead and press test down here. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and unload it. Okay, so it did cut. The triangle came out pretty good. But since it just is this textured material, the square actually, like, it did cut and I could pull it away, but I am actually going to up the setting a little bit. See, like, I don't want to have to wiggle it out like I did. So I'm actually going to just up the setting. So let's maybe cut it. We're just going to up it up to 7. And then we already did a test cut, so I'm not going to show you this on the screen, but I'm just going to go ahead and add another little square on there in a different spot, just to see if it will cut correctly this time. And like I said, if you didn't do a test cut and you use those regular settings and it didn't cut through, as long as you haven't unloaded it, you can just load it right back in. Or sorry, send it for another pass. Okay, so that square came out perfectly. It cut super crisp. So we're going to stay with those settings. And like I said, this page isn't even normal cardstock. This page is like textured. It has like a wood kind of base to it. So yeah, don't worry about like if things don't work out right, just go ahead and perform a test cut when in doubt. All right, so you just go to the bottom of the page again and just press send when you're ready to send it. So yes, Kelly said, keep in mind that the blade is dull. Also, this paper is really, really thick. It's not just regular cardstock. So I think when I grabbed it, I didn't realize how thick it really was. So all right, Ariana said, where can I purchase cardstock? And my favorite cardstock is the 65-pound cardstock, the Recollection cardstock from Michaels. You can purchase it in like a big rainbow pack, or you can purchase it in tones like pink tones or green tones or orange tones. So they sell it in a lot of different ways, and that's my favorite cardstock to work with. So I think that's the best, and you can buy it at Michaels. So somebody messaged me and said, do you always have to cover the entire sticky mat? Or if only using a small piece of cardstock or vinyl, is it okay to leave the rest of the mat uncovered? So it is okay to leave the rest of the mat uncovered. If you're just using like a little scrap of paper, you just put it up in the left-hand corner. You'll align the corner of your paper with the corner of your mat, and then it will cut perfectly for you, just like that. And that's totally fine. All right. Okay. Oh man, this paper is so thick. I'm actually gonna send it for another pass, guys, just to be safe. So sometimes this happens, right? You just want to make sure that it comes off right when you do it. So I'm just gonna go to my send panel again, and I'm just gonna press send again. And I didn't change anything. I didn't move anything. I just tried to pull it up, and when it didn't pull up, then I just decided to send it again. Okay, and we are kind of nearing the end of our class. So if you guys have any questions, feel free to put them in the chat now. I feel like a lot of the time we always are wrapping up the class and then everybody thinks of their questions at the very last minute and we don't have time to answer them. So if you have any questions, put them in the chat, especially while this is cutting. So somebody said, my Cameo usually says to repeat job on the Cameo screen itself. Can you do that instead of resend? So if you have the Cameo 3, you can do that. The Cameo 4 does not have the resend function. So that is an option if you're using the older machine. Okay, and then Maria asked, is there a print and cut class? I have been doing print and cut classes. I can't think off the top of my head what they were, but I know I've done print and cut classes. So on Michael's YouTube channel, you'll be able to locate those. So I just want to talk about real quick the other classes that we have going on this month. All right, perfect. So it cut now, so I'm going to unload it. So some people are asking about the other classes we have, and they're always changing every single month. This month we have 2 other classes. So our next class is a Mother's Day card with Lori Whitlock. Lori is probably our most popular designer in the Silhouette Design Store. And she is teaching a free class on April 20th at 1 p.m. Mountain Standard Time, the same time. And it's going to be a super fun class. It's a little Mother's Day card. And then Kelly is teaching a premium class, which is also a Mother's Day card. And you can register for that. And premium classes, you just learn more techniques. Like I said, today we kept things really, really simple. I really didn't even use any tools in Silhouette Studio. And in Kelly's classes, you'll learn tons of tools. So that's kind of the draw of the premium classes. And that one is on, I believe, the 27th, the next Wednesday, the last Wednesday of the month. So those are the other classes this month. But like I said, you can always look at the older classes from Michael's on YouTube that we've done. We have some on our own YouTube channel as well. And then you can always look at the Silhouette blog where you'll be able to find classes too and links to classes. So yes, so somebody said that I'm obviously cutting or folding scored lines. So I am doing that. And the blade does it. It just cuts little tiny dashes, which I'm sure do not show up on the camera. But it just kind of scores it for you in that way so that you can fold it. And then I'm just using an Elmer's tape runner that I got at Michael's. And I'm just going to put it on all three of these little tabs right here. Okay, and then just fold it in. Awesome. And Kelly said that in her April 27th class, she's going to go over scored lines more. So if that's something you want to know about, make sure to join Kelly's class. And that class is only, it's a limited number of participants. I think it can only have 50 participants. So if you're wanting to join that class, make sure to register soon. And then I'm actually working on one of our upcoming classes. I think it's going to be in the month of, I think it's May, the last class in the month of May. I'm not totally sure yet, but it's going to be a class with your iPad, the Procreate app. A lot of our users use the Procreate app or other softwares, and I'm going to teach you how to make a family portrait with like cutting out all the pieces and then assembling it. So that's just one of the classes we have coming up next week too, or next month. But that is not available on Michael's yet. So then you're just going to use these little tabs right here. And then you're just going to fold them in to make the lid. And tape runners are my favorite adhesive because they're not wet. They dry instantly and they work really well. So then you just shut the box like that. And then we have our two little projects that we made today. Okay, Claw asked, what's the transfer tape I used? Oratape. So it's Oratape. So this is the brand, this is the packaging, this is what it looks like. Okay. Awesome. Okay, I don't think we have any other questions. Donna asked, where can you find this recording? So you can find it on Michael's YouTube channel, Donna. It will be able to link there. We'll probably add the link to our Pinterest also, so you can find it there too. And yes, so Felicia said, please follow us on our social media platforms. So our Silhouette handle is silhouette.inc, like INC. So you can find us on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and Pinterest, and then also on YouTube. You can find more tutorials. So make sure to follow us on social media, tag us in the projects you make because we love resharing those projects, and make sure to keep your eyes open for the upcoming classes that we're having the rest of this month. We're going to be posting about them pretty much every day on our story, and then we'll always be posting about the upcoming classes too. So thank you guys so much for joining us. I've had such a good time with you guys today, and I hope that you enjoy making your first cut with your Silhouette machine.